Hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and you are about to listen to a hypnosis recording all about financial worthiness and abundance. And I was working with a client that had already improved and grew their financial thinking to quite a high level. They grew up in quite a poverty-stricken environment and had got to a point where they were an investor, a developer, they had acquired assets, but they felt a lot of guilt and shame from their past because they had a lot more than maybe their family members and people that they knew. And they didn't want to feel that way, but equally, they didn't want to feel arrogant or entitled. And what this hypnosis session does is it takes the idea of financial thinking and abundance almost like levels of a building, so that the lower levels represent those that are trapped in scarcity thinking. And sometimes that scarcity thinking is valid because they're in situations where there might be debt and a lack of opportunity, but the thinking is still a reflection of their reality. Some people are able to kind of get to a different level where they feel that they can either have multiple streams of income or perhaps take the money they have and rather than spending it, they can invest it and then kind of grow assets. So the levels of this hypnotic building in the metaphor are levels of abundance, levels of financial literacy or financial thinking or competency. And this client was very much in the middle. They'd achieved a lot, but they wanted to feel that they could go beyond that. So we kind of look at what does one level higher look like and what does the penthouse look like of such abundance. And I could really relate to this client because I grew up where when I was about 13 years old, my dad went to a university quite late in life, and it meant that there wasn't a lot of financial resources in the home. And I remember, doing 5 paper rounds at one point in time just to kind of make money, buying and selling things. And certainly I'm in a very different financial position now, but you don't get there immediately. You do certain things. So that might be have a second source of income. Maybe you do something that creates additional value. Maybe you take on some risk, like invest in certain things. And each time you do it, you realize that there is no finishing line to this. It's just there's always another level beyond. So if you think you're either not good with money and you want to start evolving a couple of levels up, this is going to be a great session. But equally, if you feel like you're fairly financially capable, you're certainly not in poverty, you're certainly not scarcity, but you want to think beyond that, then again, this will be a useful session because it's about expanding and evolving that financial thinking. Hopefully you enjoy this. Just realize it was created for an individual. Some of the references might make sense to them and not to you. But if you do like the idea of working with me directly, have a look in the description and you will see a link where you can schedule a free consultation call. For now though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that slow, long, relaxing breath, and as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to feel heavy and relaxed, and with your eyes closed, feel even more relaxed. Breathing in that resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, giving permission to release Any feelings of stress, worry, or tension, just allowing it to leave your body in your outward breath. As you exhale, allow the breath to keep on going. And when you inhale, breathe in deeper than you normally would. Each breath taking you deeper and deeper relaxed. That's it. And the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you become. And the more relaxed you become, the deeper you breathe. And as your body relaxes, your imagination awakens. And I want you to imagine a beach next to the ocean with a hammock between two palm trees. And I wonder if you could imagine on a sunny day positioning yourself in that hammock. So the hammock is carrying and supporting your body weight to enable you to just relax, swing, and rest there in that hammock. And you could imagine listening to the sound of the waves, having a sense of ever increasing relaxation as the breeze, the sound of the waves, even the smell of just being on a beach helps take you deeper and deeper relaxed. That's it. And as you breathe in there on that hammock, I want you to breathe in pure worthiness. Feeling that everything good in your life is because you deserve it. And as you exhale, just imagine feeling that any guilt, any shame is leaving your body in your outward breath. So each breath makes you feel more worthy and releases any shame or guilt. As I count down from 5 to 1, I want you to imagine what it would be like to fall asleep on that hammock on that beach and drift off into a dream-like sleep. 5, just releasing all the muscles in your arms and legs. And 4, all of your facial muscles. And 3, specifically on your neck and your shoulders. Just release that tension now. And 2, just imagine your lungs, your heart, your stomach relaxing. And then 1, even your gut. And every part of your skin is relaxing at the same time as you imagine 0 drifting off into that dreamlike sleep. And in that dreamlike sleep, I want you to imagine you're on the same beach. And you can see that conscious version of you fast asleep there in the hammock. And you may even lift up a hand just to see how limp and relaxed that hand and that arm is as you continue to walk down the beach. Now, this beach is not a real beach. It's just a beach in your imagination. And as you walk down the beach, I want you to imagine seeing a tall, impressive building. Maybe it's luxury apartments, or perhaps something else. And I want you to imagine feeling a desire to walk into that lobby, that ground floor of those apartments or that building. So in this calm state, just imagine that this building that you are now in, that reception, that lobby, represents the many levels of money, wealth, and financial thinking. And on the very lowest floors, and maybe there's even a basement floor, these people feel burdened by scarcity, crippled by debt, weighed down by financial worries and stress. At that lowest level, money represents struggle, poverty, feeling trapped and just doing what it takes to survive. And I want you to get a sense that some of the people that you grew up with are still there in that level. Not because they're good or bad people, but because the level is a reflection of their thinking and circumstances. But you know you're not there. You've already climbed and elevated beyond those levels, and maybe just slightly higher. Someone's in a high-paid job, but it's still a job. And maybe they still rent, don't own any assets, and are perhaps still living paycheck to paycheck, even if it's on a higher income. And then maybe a level beyond that, or where people prioritize security over comfort or freedom. Maybe think 3 levels up. Someone owns a home and they've paid off their mortgage, but still feel a lack of abundance. Still have to make hard decisions, and may even prioritize security over good quality of living. And I want you to get a sense that perhaps at one point in your life, maybe you've been on one of these levels. You just know that you're not on one of those levels now. And maybe this building has got 10 floors or 20 floors or even more. But I want you to feel there you are on one of the middle levels. And maybe this is a place where you feel you're willing to take on risks. You're accumulating assets. Your quality of life shows that you have reaped what you've sowed. And maybe your net worth is higher, but certainly your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience and competency is higher. So maybe this is a place of not scarcity and not infinite abundance, but comfort, perhaps ownership, feeling that you're being an investor because an investor takes risks with capital in the pursuit of a return. Any investor is not on the lower levels. And all of this doesn't represent superiority. You're not better than anyone else. You've just grown, evolved, and climbed the levels. These are levels of progress. And anyone can progress, but many people don't. And many people reach a level, and that becomes their maximum level for them. And I want you to feel you've already proven to yourself you have the ability to learn new skills, bounce back from adversity, to build, to grow, and to create more than where you came from. And those days that you feel dissatisfied or frustrated, I want you to remind yourself that your financial problems would be a dream, a fantasy to someone else. And I want you to imagine on one of those middle levels seeing a full-length mirror, seeing yourself and everything you've accomplished, and feeling that this is something to feel proud of. Every floor you've reached represents your courage, your choices, your determination, but also it's evidence of your capability. And if you could go back in time and see a younger version of you and tell them what you have and what you've achieved, they would be astonished. And that is evidence of your growth and your progress. And now, you may notice what can happen when people achieve certain financial success is there may be feelings every now and then of shame or guilt about that success. But this is not yours. It's the echoes from the lower floors. I want you to feel that financial success is a reflection of either creating value to the world or being willing to take on risk, and feel that you've done both. You create value for the world and you're willing to take the risks that other people won't. And therefore, you've earned your success. You deserve your success. No shame, no guilt. It is just a cause and effect relationship. Some people are paid for their time, and some people are paid for their value. And some people are remunerated for risks they're willing to take. So feel that those echoes of guilt or shame don't belong to you anymore, because you no longer live on those levels, and they were part of your past. But you've already risen above them. Money, abundance, wealth, it's all just a game of many levels. And you've already learned how to rise, how to grow, how to elevate to one level higher. But we don't live in a life where we only meet people on our level. And when you meet people, even family members, who don't understand your choices, your ways of living, that's okay. It simply means they are on a different floor, a different level. And that's their journey, their progress. But you don't need to feel pulled down by that, because you've earned your place where you are. And you absolutely deserve to keep rising higher. And I want you to think inside your mind now, just consider it a garden with fertile soil, and allow a seed of an idea to be planted. Not only do you not hold shame and guilt, but you can embrace your desire to grow, expand, and evolve. That it's not just okay to have financial success. It's more than okay. It's right. It's deserved. And it's part of who you are and who you are becoming. And I want you to imagine on your level finding the elevator and pressing the button to go up just one more floor. Climb inside and feel the gentle rise of the lift. And as the doors open, step out onto that next level and see yourself, perhaps just days, weeks, or months in your future, living at that higher level, comfortable with other people with differing opinions, eager to do more of what you're good at, and to delegate or outsource anything that is just not a good use of your time. I want you to see that version of you leaning into this idea of creating value for the world or taking on discerning, diligent risks, and then see the rewards and all the freedom that come from just one level up. And notice how things feel here. Maybe lighter, more free, more exciting, and maybe more options, more confidence, more ease. This level feels good. It feels like the natural progression for you. Embrace this place, because that's where you're heading. But then, interestingly, you go back into the elevator, and I want you to imagine pressing the button for the top floor, the penthouse. And when you arrive at the very top of this building, not just a penthouse, a luxurious, magnificent penthouse, and I want you to see your own vision of what ultimate financial freedom and abundance is for you. And maybe this is a place where your wealth, your lifestyle, your opportunities are at their fullest and most expansive expression. And as you leave the elevator into that penthouse, I want you to see the incredible views in those big glass windows. Vast, panoramic, limitless. And notice how luxurious, spacious, and comfortable it feels. And how natural it feels to be there. And I want you to imagine seeing someone that looks like you, perhaps a few years in your future, living life the way you would live at your maximum level of abundance, with even more wisdom, more motivation, and see that quality of life with more freedom. Because this penthouse is simply another level that you're already moving towards. And as you find a comfortable chair looking out at that view, take a deep breath there in that penthouse and feel how good it feels to know that you are worthy of it, that you belong in this level of success, and that you deserve to rise, and that your financial freedom is just another step, another level. In this game, you are already winning. And with that sense of pride, ease, and worthiness, I want you to imagine taking it back to you, to that hammock. As you imagine leaving the hammock feeling that worthiness, that abundance, that freedom. And then imagine very soon I will count from 1 to 10, and you will imagine floating back from that beach into your present state, exactly where you are right now, feeling a new level of permission from yourself to yourself to enjoy leaning in to this abundant, thriving, enthusiastic, joyful version of you. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of The Hypnotist. And if you've got some value from this episode, I'd like to ask a favor. And that is that all of the platforms have some way of you telling us that you like it. And that might be hitting the like button, that might be giving it a 5-star rating or a short review. And if it's possible, and it is on Spotify and YouTube, if you can drop a comment with what value you got from the show or anything you liked in particular, that really helps the algorithm to put it in front of new people. Thank you so much again for joining me on this episode, and I'll see you again soon in the next one.